What is up, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Thursday. It is 5 o'clock. It is a stunningly gorgeous day in Lakewood Ranch. It was really cold all last week. It was like in the 40s. And today, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it was like 82 degrees. It was awesome. I'm super stoked. I got a special guest tonight. But without further ado, I want to share a quick little story with you. If you follow me on social media, you heard the story. It was so damn funny that I had to do it again. So my wife Jessica and I went to Costco last week. First time I had been to Costco in about 7 years, but we just got a card. And if you've been to Costco before, you know that next door to Costco is where they have the liquor separate. I don't know if they have that everywhere, but certainly in the state of Florida, it is in a separate building, different transaction. So I stopped over there because if you've been watching for a while, you know I love myself some good bourbon. So I figured I can get a good deal there. So I did a little shopping, found this awesome 3-pack of Whistle Pig. Are you familiar with Whistle Pig? So I picked up these cute little gift bags. This is a 10-year-old, I don't know if you can see that, 10-year-old small batch rye. Delicious. I got a 12-year Old World rye, which was also really delicious. And then I've been working on trademarking a drink. So last week on date night, Jessica and I were kind of playing around with some different recipes, and I found a cool recipe. I thought was kind of cool for bourbon with maple syrup. It seems really, really, really strange. So lo and behold, the third bottle in the Whistle Pig was Whistle Pig barrel aged bourbon maple syrup. So I was like, wow, must be a sign. So I took it home. That was the first one that I opened up. And I opened it and I poured it. And I must have misread it because it definitely is not bourbon with maple syrup. It is maple syrup with bourbon. And I didn't notice it until I went to go pour it in the glass, and it kind of went, glub, 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 glub. So I've not used it yet on my French toast or my pancakes. But I was kind of disappointed because to me, the price of 3 bottles was a good deal. 3 bottles of Whistle Pig. But I'm not sure it was a great deal for 2 bottles of bourbon and some syrup. So cheers to you. If you have a drink, toast it up. Drop a comment down below too. Let me know what your go-to drink of choice is. I like it because it's nice and smooth. All right, so I'm super stoked. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. I'm going to bring in my friend Cass, and super excited. How are you tonight, Cass?
I am doing well. It's not quite nighttime here yet, but we're getting close.
You are on the West Coast. Well, cheers. Thank you for joining. Cheers. I really appreciate it. I love the backdrop.
Thank you.
And yeah, I'm not sure how long we have known each other, but we definitely have a Maui connection, which I absolutely love. If you've been watching the channel, you know Maui is near and dear to my heart, and it is with Cass as well too. So first of all, tell the folks where you're from and a little bit about your background.
Hey everybody, my name is Cassandra Marks, and I'm a realtor just like Adam here in the Pacific Northwest. I'm licensed in Oregon and Washington. I reside on a 2.5-acre farm in Vancouver. They're just outside of Vancouver, Washington. This is Vancouver, Washington, not Vancouver, BC. So we're called Vantucky. We're a little redneck, a little great, but also close enough to Portland that I can have good food. So, you know, I've done a lot of things in my life, and finally 7 years ago, my husband's like, get your license. I'm tired of crappy realtors. And here we are, just selling real estate, having a good time, all those types of things. Fantastic.
Nice. And we know each other from kind of the circle of real estates. I think, are you with Tom Ferry Coaching too, right? Tom Ferry Coaching.
I am, yeah.
And Real Brokerage and YouTube.
Yes, we do a lot of similar things, and then we have that Maui connection too. I mean,
and the Maui connection.
Maui's awesome. Beautiful. My husband and I got married there a few years ago, and it was the most beautiful day of my life, almost.
Yeah, it's a stunning place and a special place in our hearts.
Yeah, minus the guy that arranged everything for us forgot to mention that the beach I really, really liked was actually partially a nude beach.
Yes. Rumor has it I used to spend a lot of time at that beach.
So I was like, we show up and we walk around the rocks and we get on over there to Po'olina, and I was like, there's just two people walking down the beach butt naked. I'm like,
Butt naked.
how did I miss this memo? It's like close to sunset. I'm like, whatever. I don't care. It's my wedding day.
Yeah. It used to be a great place for a Sunday night drum circle, and then it just got too out of control. That beach, honestly, minus the nudity, really is. I've spent a lot of time on that beach, honestly.
It's stunning.
It really, truly is
absolutely stunning.
Stunningly, absolutely gorgeous. And here's what it's always. I don't know if you guys know this beach. It's also called Little Beach, McKenna Beach. It's on the other side of Big Beach. But here's what I find spectacular about it. It's called Little Beach, first of all, because it really is just a little teeny beach. But every time I'm on that beach, I just visualize the first Polynesians, right? Tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of years ago, who first saw that little sliver of beach. Because, if you can just imagine what that looks like from the ocean looking in, like it literally is just like a teeny, teeny, teeny sliver of sand.
Yeah.
On this big island. And it is just gorgeous.
If you're ever doing research for beaches, this is my piece of advice. I just used Google Photos, right? I didn't actually read anything about the beaches other than like where they were located. So I was just looking at photos. I'm like, oh, this one's really pretty. That is how this all started. You gotta like look a little deeper.
yeah. Gotta look a little deeper. Now it is still a nude beach because we've got good friends who go there 3 or 4 days a week. But yeah, not too many people make their way over the little cliff, down the cliff. And,
yeah,
I'll tell you, it was an ordeal.
I hiked that cliff without shoes.
Oh yeah, I did that regularly because I used to drum there every Sunday for many, many, many years. And I'd bring a cooler, I would bring my drums, and yeah, the shoes were just one less thing to have to carry. So literally from the parking lot all the way across Big Beach, up the cliff, down the cliff, over to the drum circle. And I was always afraid somebody was going to rip them off, which happened a lot there. Oh, I lost your sound, Cass. I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Can you test? I don't hear you anymore. And my speakers are still working. That is very strange. I don't know how I lost you.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, now I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. I'm not sure why it switched off my mic for some reason.
I don't know.
So we're back.
Very strange. I've been having issues lately too. I switched to this microphone because my other microphones weren't working. I switched out to a new webcam because my webcam was flickering last week.
It's right here.
So tell me about. I saw on your profile that farms and chickens, and that is kind of right up my alley as well too. So tell me what that's all about.
Yeah. So I grew up on a 10-acre hobby farm in West Central Minnesota. And I mean, we were very sustainable. And most of that came from the fact that I grew up really poor, like really poor. And so my mom would spend the summers growing our food because back in the 90s, there were times where we only had like $45 for food for the entire month. Like we really just it was just me and my mom and my dad. And so we spent a lot of time living on this farm, cultivating, a huge garden, raising animals, doing that kind of stuff so that we could provide for ourselves during the rest of the year. So we had everything from egg chickens to meat chickens. We had, we raised pigs. We raised sheep. What we would do is we would do two pigs, and we would hawk over one pig to our neighbor and they'd give us half a cow. And so that's kind of, we bartered with the neighbors. But yeah, it was 15 miles to the nearest town. So as I got older, I was like, okay, I ended up moving to the Twin Cities and living the city life for a while. And then I've moved around from Denver to Des Moines, back to Denver, back to Minnesota, and then finally ended up out here in the Pacific Northwest because my husband's from Salem.
Okay.
And Salem, Oregon. And, you know, we lived in Southeast Portland for like a couple years, and I was just like, enough's enough. I want to go back to the country. I want to go back to my roots. I want to do the things. So in the fall of 2019, we ended up buying a farm.
Wow.
And here we are today. So we've got 2.5 acres just outside of Vancouver, Washington. We have a 50 by 100 garden, which we put a lot of food up from. I think last year we probably did somewhere between 800 and 1,000 jars of canning.
Holy cow.
And I don't do it all. I got to give credit to my mom. She is voluntarily retired due to a work disability. Like, she got disabled at work. So she gardens quite a bit. She does a lot of that work, and we've made it really streamlined and easy for her to do it, because she can't lift a lot of things. She can still like function and do things, but
Oh, I lost you again. I see your mic went muted. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So I do not understand what's going on. I am literally not moving, not doing anything.
Very interesting that you brought that up, because prior to moving to Maui, we lived in this area, but a little further east in rural Florida, because literally just outside of where we are is rural Florida.
Yeah.
And that's where most of the state is. And we had 5.5 acres. I was on that property for 11 years. And the vast majority of properties that I sold prior to moving to Maui was acreage property. Like well over 100 properties on acreage, anywhere from 2 acres to over 100 acres.
Yeah. You know, we're really happy here now. So we do a lot of that. We also have egg laying chickens. I've incorporated that into my business as well. So typically during the summer months, spring, summer, fall months, the chickens lay more eggs than they do right now during the winter because of the limited light. And so I go out on Wednesdays and like have a day off, and I go and I deliver eggs to clients and friends and whoever. So they get those awesome store-bought egg, or the awesome farm eggs versus the store-bought ones.
That's the best.
We also raise meat chickens. And yes, there are times, not this year, but last year, we have, you know, I do know how to procure and butcher my own and take care of my own meat. I can dispatch a chicken or two in my life. Yeah. So awesome. The day that I taught my husband how to do that, that was fun. He was like, what are we doing? I'm like, we are going to do the chickens. And he's like, huh?
Yeah. Most people do not, want to think about how and where their food comes from.
Yeah. And, you know, he at first had a moment, and like a lot of people, when I first tell them about that type of stuff, it's like, okay, like, I will tell you, my chickens live a very good life. They're very spoiled. The food that they get fresh grass every single day. They're very, very well cared for, and they taste delicious.
Yeah, that's making me hungry. I smell Jessica cooking in the other room. I'm like, making my mouth water. Hey, speaking of which, she wanted me to bring up that. Are you still doing the Real Women of Real?
I am. We actually had a call this morning with all of the women of Real who are representing their different states and the council members. And we were talking about what 2025 has to offer. I'm super stoked. I just, Patricia and I, she really got me into this, where Patricia and Young, her and I met we met on Clubhouse. For anybody who knows that, does anybody know what Clubhouse is? It is still around. Yeah. I don't go on it anymore, but like during the pandemic, it was the place to be as a realtor.
I remember.
100%. So we met on there in like a chat room called Realtor Therapy. And we got to talking, and she really showed me that like women need women. And it is very like, I didn't believe it, but like with all the stuff that I've gone through since I met Patricia, like I didn't have a super close girlfriend. I had girlfriends, but like no one to really truly lean on. And it's been amazing to, you know, grow together, go through things together between, you know, like the loss of my father and like some of the things that she's going through. Like we can relate and help each other, not just in real estate, but like in life. And so that's one of the biggest parts about that is important to me with the Women of Real is being able to cultivate that relationship and those relationships and support other women in all aspects of their life. So, and Jessica, obviously, like she's been, you know, in parts of that as well. And it's been really great to have just the connections and the camaraderie that we've shared, and we've been like just sharing everything that we've gone through has been, it helps. I don't know who and which women out there need that, but like it helps. I promise.
Yeah. And that's kind of brokerage specific, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Patricia had done something similar at another brokerage that she had been with. And, but when she came to Real, like, she was like, I absolutely need to do this here because this brokerage is, you know, competition or is collaboration over competition. Let's grow and help each other. And where I come from too is, I come from a corporate background, and in that corporate background, I was used quite a bit and told what I was worth. And it was a lot less than what some other people in my industry were getting. And, you know, I want women to see that they can make real estate whatever they want, but they also, you know, they can make as much money as they want, or they can have as much free time. They can make the life that they want in real estate, and no one's going to hold them back except for themselves.
That is one of the great things about real estate. It is one of the great things, I believe, about our brokerage. One of those differentiators truly is coming from collaboration, and that's not just a saying.
How long have you been with Real?
I think we're going into our 4th year with Real.
Okay, same here. Yeah, April's mine.
Yeah, we were with KW before moving to Maui. And then when we got to Maui, we realized that everything we did to get business in Florida definitely was not going to work in Hawaii, because most of the buyers and sellers are not even there. So
yeah,
the Chamber of Commerce wasn't really great. You certainly weren't door knocking, farming, not really a thing there. And that's kind of how I got into video, because I needed people to find me, and it wasn't going to be by making phone calls. So I knew that I needed you to find me. So even though I had a YouTube channel going back to 2013, I never really did anything with it. I had videos on there, the typical, you know, listing videos that you'd upload when your photographer gives you the video. But I kind of was almost forced into doing video, which was great because it led to a whole bunch of other things. It led to Tom Ferry coaching, right? Because Tom has been talking about video for decades, and I had been listening to Tom, but not with Tom Ferry coaching, and then made the switch to Tom Ferry coaching. Then started to see a lot of real estate agents from our brokerage at Tom Ferry. And then fast forward a couple years later, I'm seeing those same agents leaving their brokerage, whoever they were with, and joining this company called Real. I didn't know anything about it, but I follow a lot of YouTube agents like you do. A lot of YouTube channels that are real estate related. And I started to notice that they were all making this move to this company called Real. I'm like, who in the heck is Real? And why is everybody I know going to Tom Ferry and joining Real? I always kind of joke, it's kind of like peanut butter and jelly. They just go good together. And
that's so interesting, because like I feel like our stories of how we got to Real are completely different. And you know, you were seeing the YouTubes. I'll be really honest. I don't consume much content on YouTube. I just produce it.
Yeah.
I don't. I really, really don't. And the whole YouTube thing honestly came about because I had already joined Real, and I went to San Antonio for the first conference, and I was like, I need something, because a lot of my business where I started was open houses. Okay. And with the pandemic and everything that was going on, I didn't have an option to do open houses where I was, because they closed everything down up here.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay. And I don't have a big sphere because I'm not from here. I don't have kids, so I can't leverage the schools. And like, I was like, what do I do? And, I went and it was like an epiphany at that first conference. And I was just like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Cause I genuinely actually dislike most of social media, like actually feeling obligated to do it. I like to consume it, but I don't like to actually be like, oh, Instagram, I have to post 3 times a week or 4 times a week and stories every day. Like, it just seems like a lot of work. And so that's what I loved about YouTube. But I mean, to come to real, my real journey was 100% financial. It was 100% financial. It was literally either go into commercial real estate, which some things happened and I couldn't buy this guy's business. So I was like, okay, I need to leave my brokerage. I'm paying $27,000 a year for nothing. And I was like, where should I go? And I was like, Patricia, tell me about your brokerage. Like literally that's how it happened. And she told me about real. And I talked to the 2 brokers, the one in Oregon and the one in Washington, because I was dual licensed. Ended up being the 3rd agent in the Vancouver market and the 8th agent in Oregon completely.
Wow.
And, we're a little less than 6,000 when I joined, I think.
Yep.
And now we're at 25 and like mine was like 100% financial. And I found so many like wonderful people like yourself and Jessica. And I've found Patricia and I found some amazing people at our brokerage. And so that was not part of the plan. Like I wasn't necessarily straight up looking for culture. I knew that the market was going to get hard and I needed to reinvest money in my business. And I didn't need to spend $27,000 a year on a office that I didn't go to, for copies that I didn't use, for like a broker that didn't really care or know what he was doing. I was like, cool. Patricia's like 12 grand. I'm like, I'm in, sign me up.
Yeah. That is just incredible. And we, same here too. We were paying 40.
Oh,
crazy. Yeah. And getting very little return. Yeah. Interesting how everyone's journey is slightly different, but they all kind of match. And I agree. There's so many people there are such good friends and really I can reach out to anyone at any time.
Yeah, it's like you kind of observe everybody on social media or like what they're doing. And you're like, if you see something, this is what I love. If you see something somebody's doing and you just shoot them a message on say Instagram or Facebook, you're like, hey, like, can you tell me how you did this? Or can you like, would you have time to like jump on a call for like 15 minutes and tell me more about this? I haven't really ever, I don't think I've ever been told no. No, it's like, sure, I'd love to. Like, I want you to build your business because people are like, I do it. Rip off and duplicate. I mean, Tom Ferry talks about that all the time. Rip off and duplicate.
Yeah, love that about the culture. So interesting enough. So I'm trying to stray away from doing live streams really about real estate. Okay,
what else do you want to talk about?
No, it's interesting because some of it obviously ties into real estate, but essentially kind of like the brief agenda, more like real estate agents just chatting, because I find that I've done so much educational videos, and even to me, they're boring. And if I find them boring, I think the public finds them boring. So if it's just real estate agents talking, you'll know at the end of the day, I mean, I'm a real estate agent, you're a real estate agent, and kind of like Tom Ferry and kind of like real brokerage, your vibe attracts your tribe. Yeah. So without necessarily talking about real estate, what are your plans looking like for 2025? What are you seeing in your market? Is it the same everywhere else? Prices come down, houses sitting on the market longer?
Well, we have an inventory shortage. I don't know what the median price is in your market, but at the end of 2024, Vancouver was about $604,000 for a median home.
About the same.
Median priced home. Okay. We had about 2 months of inventory in November and December, but the thing is a lot of that inventory was just junk. Like it was the junky junk, and anything that was actually relatively decent and like super clean was gone really quick. But there just wasn't a lot on the market. I will say, like, I listed a house for about $500,000 as a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,700 square feet. We closed it. We're in the process of closing today. This is how insane the market was and is going to be here. Because we've just been super low on inventory. So I listed that house. It's in great condition. I listed on a Wednesday. I had 21 private showings. On Friday, I did an open house. I had over 20 groups through. Saturday, I had over 40 groups through. And on Sunday, I had over 20 groups through. We ended up with 6 offers all over asking. We didn't, however, see people waiving inspections, which is fine with me. I'm totally cool with that. I never have been a person that waives inspections and tells my clients
terrible
to do
when
it.
that was happening.
Yep. And so, you know, we're seeing, and that's the case. Like, I'm helping a girlfriend right now invest. She's investing in, we're looking somewhere between a duplex and a fourplex, and everything has multiple offers. Everything.
Holy cow. Yeah.
Everything. I was writing one right before we jumped on here on a duplex. It's got 7 offers.
Holy cow.
It's been on the market for 3 days.
Wow. Yeah. We are not having that problem here. Like, I just pulled up the stats. Like, in the last 7 days, we've had 1,230 new listings, but here's the number that is starting to be frightening. It was 1,624 price adjustments.
Ooh.
That's tremendous. And if you go back and look to see my live streams from, 4 months ago, 5 months ago, 6 months ago, I used to do real estate stats, just kind of an update. And that number was in the 4s, and it was up to like 7. And now I just pulled this up before here. It's 1,624 price adjustments. So Florida is in for an interesting year. I met a real estate agent who I've known for years last night, and he does a lot of business and saying the same thing. He's like, I'm having a hard time. And this is a skilled agent. He's been around for 30 plus years. I'm having a hard time with my sellers. Understanding that the market is not, the way it was. And doing, 3, 4, 5, 6 price adjustments. He goes, I'm not used to that. I'm like, me too. I don't think I've ever done like 3 price adjustments. And all of a sudden, the listings I have, I've got 3, almost 4 price adjustments. It's so strange.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's see here some of the stats. Maybe our area isn't as big as yours, but this is just the Portland highlights. So like Portland metro area itself, I mean, they had 369 new houses listed last week. So like we just don't have the inventory available that other markets do. We are really down, but the market, like I said, when the house is good, it's gone. But people, the sellers are just like, oh, I'm just going to sell this junk. And I look through some of the stuff on the market, and people are very price sensitive, as they should be, because interest rates are like 7.25%. Yeah. So they're very price sensitive. They're like, if I have to put all this money into it, I want it done. And that's a big I want everything done. And that's a big transition to be having with these conversations with sellers. It's hard to have that because they have this mentality that, and it's not to be bad to them. Like, there's a lot of emotion in residential real estate. There's a lot.
There is.
And so people, when you've lived somewhere, like my clients, they've lived there for 30 years, they see such value. So I sent them the CMA. And of course, as soon as they see that very top number on that CMA, that's what they want to shoot for. I'm like, well, your house doesn't fall there. Your house falls here. And so like having the conversation, I'm like, so what I try to do is if they're up for it, I'm like, hey, let's book a couple tours and let's go see these houses at the top of the CMA and the bottom of the CMA. So you can really walk in and get a feel of what's going on in your neighborhood. And that tends to, help a little bit, even if it's just one house. Be like, let's do it. Let's go take a look. And we went and we took a look, and I told them all the reasons why that $539 price point was not going to work. And it was mostly like, they're like, well, our house is remodeled. I'm like, your house was remodeled 15 years ago. This house was remodeled since 2020. Yeah. And it's like white shaker cabinets. It's like everything that people are looking for right this very second. Like their house is very nice. And that's the conversation, is like, just because your house, your house is nice. So I'm not discounting it, but like there's homes that are nice, and then there's homes that are like that trendy, that super like ultra, this is what people are looking for when it comes to finishes. And here that commands a premium because the house is ready. It's everything that people are seeing online, on their Pinterest, on all their websites, everything. They're like, this is gold.
Move-in ready.
And so, yep. But the other house, it's move-in ready too. It's great condition. It just doesn't have all the amenities that the current like trendy remodel. So like when you are doing a remodel, and this comes from me, like my husband and I have built all of our equity doing remodels, and like trading up our houses. We've never, he grew up his dad was a general contractor. And so like we do all of our remodels ourselves.
Huh.
There's very small amount of stuff we hire. I think if I think through our current 1901 farmhouse, the things that we have hired is we had to hire an engineer because we pulled a wall out. We had to hire a bunch of people to put the beam in to take the wall out because there wasn't just the two of us that are going to put this huge beam in. So we had to have footings poured. So we hired a little bit of a framing contractor to do that for us. But like drywall, we do it. Installing like demo, pulling out cabinets, we do it. Installing new cabinets, we do it. I mean, we took a 4-bed, 2-bath house and made it a 3-bed, 3-bath. We traded the 1-bedroom into a full like primary suite.
Wow.
And the only thing in there, like we replumbed, we did electrical. The only thing that we paid for to have done in that bathroom was the people that came to install the glass for the shower, because I was not interested in trying to do that.
Yeah, I hear you. That's great. That's how you can be profitable as well too, if you do a lot of that work yourself.
So when you're doing those remodels, like there's the stuff that like you can walk in a house. Now tell me if I'm wrong, Adam. You can walk into a house and know by just what's on the inside, either the last time it was remodeled or like the year almost, or when it was built.
Yeah, for sure.
Just by walking in.
Yep.
My favorite is the 90s oak. It's like as soon as I see the 90s oak, I'm like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, it's interesting. We are in a neighborhood. So the area I'm in is Lakewood Ranch. I love Lakewood Ranch for a whole lot of reasons, but it's made up of about 40 different neighborhoods. Tons of new construction. There's probably 15 new construction neighborhoods of those 40 plus. But the original neighborhoods were back in the 90s. So Jessica and I are in one of the original ones back in the mid 2000s. And they're interesting because they're sturdy. The landscaping is all mature, and you can tell the ones that have been updated and the ones that were originally from 2005, 6, 7. And the style then, so interesting. I mean, you get to see that a lot too. The style is just like a lot of like built-ins, like for your big screen TV. It's like, but now your big screen TV would not fit in that built-in space because it's flat. The big screen TVs in the mid 2000s were 40-inch maybe, and that was $4,000. So you get to see a lot of those, but you get to see some of the ones that were like, you can tell it's an older house, but you walk inside, you're like, wow, like it was updated last week. Mm-hmm. And the complete opposite is like, you see those original ones with, the Corian countertops and carpets and just interesting archways and just, that kind of stuff. It's one of the things I like about real estate is just kind of seeing new construction, brand new, currently being built and what they're using now and the color schemes they're using now.
And that's like the big thing is, so like I'll walk into a house that was maybe done in the, somewhere between 2010 and 2020, right? It's going to be agreeable gray. The flooring's going to be gray. The cabinets are going to be white shaker. And then there's going to be some sort of quartz countertop on it. And I'm just like, everything is gray. So it's like, okay, that's the trend.
Yeah.
Or there was for a good portion of the end of like 2015 to 2020, Flip or Flop really got people pumped about these really decorative tiles. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like the really like fancy pattern tiles. So when I walk into the house, I can be like, oh, that house was remodeled about 10 years ago. Because those tiles were popular about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And so it's just when we're doing our remodel, we're trying to stay within like the classic confines of things that work, like the white subway tile. Like white subway tile has been classic, or white penny tile has been, or white hex tile has been classic for years. You will see that in 60s homes. And so it's like, what will outlast the normal trends with just, and then you can put a little bit of spin on it with your extra, like your pillows and your decor and stuff. So that type of thing, I don't like to do trendy house remodels because, at least personally, because if I'm going to live here for 5 or 7 years, I'm going to have to remodel it again before I sell it.
Right. Yep. Yeah, here's something interesting too. It's one of the things that we like about this house. Like I said, it's an older house, but I've done video tours at like all the new model homes, like I don't know, 80 or 100 of them in the last year. So I've seen a lot of new stuff. The interesting thing about these older houses that we're in that I can't seem to find, because we were all about new construction. Like I want to buy a brand new house, everything new. But now that we're in this house, here's the thing that we love about it, and tell me what you think about it. So this house is like 2,100 square feet. And what I like about it, of those 2,100 square feet, we have like 5 or 6 different rooms, which you cannot find in a new house. So we have 3 bedrooms and an office and a den. And now if you go to a new house, I can find a 2,100 square foot house. But it's probably going to be 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2.5 baths. Maybe it's 4 bedrooms, or maybe it's 3 bedrooms and an office, but not to have all those extra rooms. So now I'm like, if I move to a new construction, I'm going to pay, $400,000 or $500,000, $800,000 more to get those extra rooms when I could just have this that's updated, being in an older house with more space.
And that's the thing that I've noticed, like those trends in housing kind of shift. It's kind of like when people, if you've ever noticed, like about every 10 years, people either want to be in town or they want to be in the suburbs. And it just kind of goes like this. It's like the back and forth. So when the pandemic happened in 2020, everybody was like, oh my gosh, I need to get out of the city and live in the suburbs because I need more space. And that's the way it was in like kind of the 90s too. And then everybody started moving into the city because they wanted that cool urban hip city life. So like there's that back and forth, but also with the homes itself, I have a lot of buyers right now, and it is amazing how much tastes have changed in the last 7 years. So when I first started like actually touring with buyers 7 years ago, when I got my license, everyone's like open concept, open concept, open concept. And now a lot of the people that I take out, they're like, I don't want that. I want to have, like this, because I think what it is a lot of people are working from home. And so if you've got that open concept, it's very easy to get distracted. You can't have a private, quiet place to work, or, if you've got kids at home and you work from home, or like, the kids need a place that's not distracting, that kind of thing. So people are really starting to move back towards that like more segregated house style of living, where they have rooms and areas purposely designated, instead of just like an open space where you're like, okay, this little sliver is my dining room.
Yeah, right. Yeah, same way, because obviously we work from home during the pandemic. We began to work from home. We were on Maui. We lived in 750 square feet. Right, it literally was like, turn around, look the other way so I don't have to see you, right? It wasn't like I could go to the other room. There was no really other room where, even a husband and wife team working together. So there was no hiding in 750 square feet. And now that we're 2,100 square feet, I'm like, I'm going to the other side of the house and I'm shutting the door.
And then you can do podcasts like this and not bother other things going on in life, whether sometimes it's like a barking dog, sometimes it's my husband who likes to wander around the house on the phone because he can't like sit in one spot while he takes a phone call. So I'm like, okay, bye. He'll go downstairs and wander around.
It's interesting that you're seeing that trend of like people wanting to have like more space in their own house.
Like more like designated small, like not smaller rooms. Like everybody does make the comment. They're like, this bedroom is so small. I'm like, what do you plan on doing in there? You're going to sleep. Like, do you need a huge, that's my big thing, is when people are like, these bedrooms are too small. I'm like, you can fit a king size bed and 2 side tables. I'm like, what else do you need space for?
Yeah. Right. Interesting. Same thing. Because we have like a little guest bedroom, and I got a dresser in there and 2 nightstands and the bed. And I was like, oh, actually not really that small, because what does the guest need to do in there? Like plenty of room to walk. If you want to do jumping jacks, you got room to do jumping jacks.
Walk and sleep. Like, I mean, I think I get it when it's like more of like a kid style bedroom where there's going to be like toys and play and stuff involved, but it's like, okay, that's why they made like lofted bunk beds or bunk beds and stuff like that. It's just, it is just kind of funny, like when people make the comment. There are times though when the bedrooms are like excessively small, and you're like, oh, I can only fit like a twin bed in here. That's a little bit of a different story. But I mean, when people are like, oh, this primary suite isn't like 20 by 20, and I'm like,
Do you need that? Right?
What are you going to do with a 20 by 20 primary bedroom?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting too. I mean, I guess, I don't know. A lot of it is mindset. I think a lot of it is kind of that comparison syndrome, right?
Yeah.
Which is
Oh, keeping up with the Joneses is real.
It's real too. And I've said this for forever. Really, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, how many people are coming to my house, right? And how many of those are going to be people who actually, everyone's kind of judgy, I guess. Even my best friend would probably come over and be judgy, but like at the end of the day, who cares?
Yeah.
Right? At the end of the day, who cares? Your space is your space, and what you do with your space, as long as it works for you.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Hey, did I ask you how you wound up on the West Coast? You say your husband was from there?
Yeah. So grew up in Minnesota. Him and I actually met studying abroad in Italy in college.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, we were in the same program. We went to two different universities, but we were in the same program. And then we found out we had the same birthday, except for he's a year older than me.
All right.
And we just kind of stayed in touch. And then we missed each other snowboarding in Denver, in Colorado for my 28th and his 29th. And so I was like, well, your 30th next year. Let's go somewhere. We ended up in Tahoe for his 30th birthday and been together ever since. We dated long distance. He was living in like the Seattle, like Olympia, Lacey area on the South Sound. And I was in Minnesota, and he's like, will you move to Portland? And I said, no. I said, I'm going to move to Denver or San Diego, and you can choose to meet me there if you want.
Oh, interesting.
So we spent 3 years in Denver. They were great. It was so beautiful. I love the sunshine. Like that was the main reason why I wanted Denver or San Diego, is like seasonal affective disorder is a real thing. And I do suffer from it pretty substantially. And that's what was going on in Minnesota. Yeah. And so then that's why I said no to Portland, because it rains like 6 or 7 months of the year, except for, the last 17 days, we just set a record of like sunshine for the last 17 days. Like it never does that. So I was like, I've been super happy. We'll see how that turns around when we get rain and snow for the next 2 weeks.
Oh, brutal. And you still have family?
We do. Like, so my whole family lives in the Twin Cities and or Rochester. My husband's all my in-laws live in Salem. So we moved back here because his mom needed help. And so we moved back to take care of her and her needs and help her do what she needs to do and whatnot. And so that was kind of that's what drew us back from Denver. I have unsuccessfully moved to Denver twice in my life.
Wow.
And haven't been quite
like Maui.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we're here.
I meant to throw this comment up because the cap guy and JT. First of all, I said aloha, Adam, which I love getting on my Florida channel.
Oh, I love that.
Maui bound for the 7th trip in 3 weeks. It's interesting how many people find me. Actually, the first phone call I got from real estate after moving here was somebody who watched my Maui channel and was thinking about moving to this area and was on YouTube looking for kind of the same thing and discovered me. He's like, "You're the Maui guy." I'm like, "Yeah, from Lakewood Ranch now."
Yeah, it's amazing, like how small the world can be in that aspect. I'm sure there wasn't a lot of people on Maui doing the YouTube thing, and I'm amazed
that there were not. There was about 4.
Yeah, and then there's probably, Lakewood Ranch. What do you got? Maybe like 5 or 6 of you.
Yeah, there's 10,000 agents in our multiple listing service. There's probably I'm even surprised. There's probably a dozen real estate agents doing them consistently, YouTube consistently.
Okay.
At like once a week, which is not a lot considering there's 10,000 real estate agents.
Yeah, I wish I knew what our numbers were. I know that it always fluctuates. People are like, they make the New Year's resolution, like, hey, I'm going to jump in and do this YouTube thing consistently, and like, what they don't realize is that like you're probably not going to get a call for like 8 to 12 to 20 weeks when you first start, depending upon what you put into it, what kind of value you can give, because you're still learning too on like what to do and what to put on there and what people want. And it could be different from you know, market to market. So if you're learning from someone on the other side of the country, like your market could be different. And so
I'm just on a year of uploading to this this channel, and I'm tweaking the concept, and I tweaked it 3 times just last year. So I'm going to share with you what I'm doing for this new concept, because I've had real estate agents on for the last 3 weeks, and I've asked them this same concept because I'm really trying to make not just my live stream a little different, but as you know, to get leads on YouTube for real estate, it really has to be educational, right? Kind of they call it the low hanging fruit, the pros and cons of living in Lakewood Ranch. Top 10 things you need to know before moving to Lakewood Ranch, right? You can substitute any city, and those are kind of the low hanging fruits. I was going crazy doing those because those, I understand they're important, because if you're thinking about moving to the area, those are the questions you want answered. They were really boring. So what I'm trying to do going forward, starting in February, so I'm excited. So the videos that I did in January, full disclosure, were done in December of last year. I'm always like filling up my pipeline ahead of time. So I started the new concept in January to be uploaded in February. So they're about to drop soon, in another week or so. So what I've tried to do is going back to that, to your vibe, attract your tribe, to focus on those things that, I don't know, my tribe, right? I'm drinking bourbon in my live stream. I just built a bar with, 40, 50 bottles of bourbon there. I like to smoke a cigar. I like to grill outside. I like to, I like to cook. So I'm trying to tie in all of those things as the activity while I'm doing the educational videos. Make sense? So
I like that.
I did a pros and cons video the other day, but I was also grilling. So it wasn't like a cooking channel. I'm not showing you how I'm cooking my dinner, but I'm cooking, right? Because it's far outdoor. It's January. I'm outside. I'm cooking, and I'm dropping those in there, right? I love being outside. It's 70 degrees at 5 o'clock at night. That's why I'm living in Florida. Here's the pros and cons of living in Lakewood Ranch.
Well, it just gives people a little bit more of a flavor of, number one, who you are, number two, what you like to do, number three, like where you live. So obviously, at 7 o'clock, you're grilling, you're hanging out. It's kind of like you're actually having a conversation with someone, and they're on the other side of the grill, and you're just like, excuse me, shooting the shit, and just being like doing the thing, kind of you know. And it comes up like that. And I think, through a lot of the masterminds that I've been on recently, like people like that talking head thing is just kind of getting old and boring. Yep. There are times, however, where it is necessary, because I don't know, your weather is probably great a lot of the time. Mine, however, like it is very difficult to go outside and shoot on site when it is pouring rain.
Yep. Well, we
the talking heads, like, the talking heads exist here, but like, I get what you're talking about. Cause like, I'm starting to do that, like the more on-site type of shooting too. Like I've been going out, one of my most recent videos, I'm not quite done shooting it yet, but it's the 5 types of houses you shouldn't buy in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, interesting.
And one of them is like a house on a busy road, because the resale value in 5 to 7 years, we're going to have more inventory. And so people are going to choose the house in the quiet neighborhood over that house on the busy road. Unfortunately, that house on the busy road is one of like 4 houses available on the market right now. So you don't have a lot of choice. But
I have one. I have one of those.
So there's that. What is the other ones? The flip houses, the quick flip houses that people do the lipstick on the pig, and like they're just like, oh, look how pretty it is, but it has all these other like issues, like the HVAC is like 20 or 30 years old, the roof needs to be replaced in 3 years. So like, they made the inside really pretty, but you're going to drop 20 grand on a new roof in like 3 years.
Yeah, that's interesting too.
What else was there?
That I kind of switched it up too, because I found myself spending like 3 hours doing a video, like being out and about. I was like, this is just not time. And in all of my videos on Maui, we're all out and about. Why? Because people wanted to see Maui. And now here, I found that unless they're house tours, people didn't really care necessarily that I was kind of out and about. So I've got a lot of B-roll. Obviously, if I'm cooking, if I'm smoking a cigar, if I'm drinking a bourbon, I can have a lot of B-roll as well too. So it's not just talking head. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm reaching out to agents who are on the live stream and kind of picking their brain and going, what do you think of that as a concept? Of course, at the end of the day, it'll be whether the public consumes it and likes it. So stay tuned.
Yeah, I think it sounds like a really good opportunity because it's just much more personable. Like it really does feel like you are sitting across the grill or across the table. Like if you're out having a cigar, like you're sitting at one seat at the table out back, they're sitting at the other, and you're just having a conversation versus sitting here with headphones and a microphone, like obviously we're doing right now, and being very, even if it's not like highly produced, it's just, that is just so much more like just relatable and just kind of chill. And it gives you who you are as a person too, like a little bit more.
That's kind of what I'm going
sitting
for,
in a studio.
At the last real conference, I sat in a breakout, and somebody I know, you probably know him as well too. I'll talk about it off camera. They were talking about their videos that they do and how they're getting business. And he goes, I don't really do real estate videos. People know I'm a real estate agent because, you know, they know me from my town. You know, obviously I sell a lot of properties, help a lot of buyers. He goes, but I'm talking about, you know, talking about going to church. I'm talking about riding my mountain bike. I'm talking about this and this and this, all my activities. I'm like, and I pulled him aside after this breakout. I was like, so how does that correlate to business? He's like, your vibe attracts your tribe. And obviously people have to know you're a real estate agent, but you know, my fellow churchgoers are the ones who are buying and selling with me because, you know, they like who I am and they know I'm in real estate. So I'm like, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to find out, you know, what's my vibe.
Yeah, it's finding that avatar. Like I've definitely identified of the people that have reached out to me, like who my avatar and who my people are. Most of the time, it's people about my age. Usually they kind of figure out that I'm what they call a DINK, double income, no kids. And I mean, we've all kind of just congregated. And so like, I've been growing this tribe of, you know, 30, early 40-year-olds that they want to have fun. They want to do the Pacific Northwest. They want to like enjoy like where they live, but also like enjoy the outdoors. But they want to learn about sustainability. They want to learn about farming. They want to, you know, we just kind of all have this same kind of personality, and it works really well. And those are the people that have called me. And I think, you know, as you move forward, you know, you get the Maui people because you were the Maui guy. You talked about Maui. You know, I think that the cigars and the bourbon, like, I think that's all going to become very relatable in finding that avatar for you as well.
Interesting. Do you know Seth Godin? Do you know the author of Seth Godin?
Yes, I don't read a ton, but I do know who that is.
I have dozens of his books, but I tend to read them all, not all again, but most of them again, like this time of year, just to kind of remind myself. He's got Tribes, Purple Cow, and all of those are his message. In all of those is if you speak to everyone, you speak to no one.
Correct.
And something I've known in real estate for a long time that all of us struggle with, which is being a specialist and not a generalist. It's always tough because in real estate we want to help everybody.
Yeah.
Right. Where, you know, who makes more money? Is it the you know, the heart surgeon or the family practitioner? Well, it's the heart surgeon. He sees less patients, or she sees less patients, but specializes in just that, and that's okay. So I'm tempted to do that with real estate too. So we have our avatar, and then there's these kind of other anomalies, right? You're the bourbon and the cigars and the cooking. So I'm really kind of fine tuning that avatar, who's that particular person looking for a particular lifestyle. And I'm going with it.
Yeah, it's really interesting too, like when I work with clients that aren't necessarily in my avatar, but they just seem to fit well anyways. So like the couple that I just helped close their house, you know, they're retired, they're moving out of the area to be closer to their kids. So like when I talk about, chicken and sustainability, they're just like, oh, okay. They're like, tell me more about like what makes you a successful realtor. Well, I can say that, you know, I am able to be a good realtor because I can learn from doing different things. So like I learned how to be a chicken farmer. But like some realtors don't learn. They're just like, they're stuck in this one notion of like, I'm like, that's how they did it 20 years ago, bro. Like, that's not what's going on now. And so like learning the new ways to do things and like new you know, whether it's new video or if it's new like marketing campaigns or like new CMAs or whatever, being able to learn, I think is a huge thing. So like living on a farm, I'm constantly learning how to do new things because I don't know how to do everything.
Sure.
And so learning and being able to turn that learning and use it across all platforms and everything that I do, I think makes me a successful realtor, because we have to adapt to all the different types of people and all the different types of situations, because no two sales are the same.
Right. Yep.
So, I mean, you might have a really great sale where it's just like, okay, like throw the paperwork together and like, there's not really a lot that comes up in the inspection. There's not really a lot that comes up anywhere. And the next thing you know, you're closing and you're good.
Yeah. Boom,
then there are times where you go under contract and everything's wrong in the inspection. You're like, the house looks really good, but everything's wrong.
And they're done.
The sellers don't, you know, the sellers don't, or the buyers don't want to negotiate with you. They're like, very like, it's this way or the highway. And you're like, what do I do? So you have to learn how to deal with like this whole scope and learn all these things on how to deal with this whole scope.
Yep, it's an interesting business. I'm glad I chose it as a business model. Hey, I wanted to make sure that I shared this with you as well as the audience currently watching. Last night, Jessica and I did not do something fun. She did something fun. I was just a participant. But have you seen Squid Games?
Yes, I've seen the first season. The second season
Okay.
seems rather horrible.
So she did kind of a Squid Game at a Korean restaurant yesterday. The restaurant's called Kore. It's like a Korean barbecue place. But last night in Lakewood Ranch, they have something called Ranch Night Wednesdays. They close down the street. You know, food vendors and live music and one of the largest pickleball tournaments, I think, in the country. But they had their own versions of Squid Games. She was one of 30 contestants who signed up, and I recorded it last night. So we did kind of a little kind of pre-recorded, scripted intro, just like in the TV show. And then the rest was actually just, they did some of the games without the murder. Although I told her that she should have brought like a little blood pouch. If she got eliminated. I'm not going to tell you how she did because you can watch the video. But yeah, so that's going to be a video dropping. I don't know. It's going to be a bonus video sometime, I think, next week. So that should be interesting. So if you're watching the channel and you like to see some kooky fun stuff,
that'll be so fun. Like, I mean,
it was so fun.
I like it without the murder part because it
was the game. It was the games, and you basically were just eliminated. But they did the the throw down the card. They did the cookie where you had to
without breaking it, yeah.
Without breaking it, yeah. They did the I don't know what you call it, like the dice that they have. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. So that video went to my editor, and that should be dropping soon. So I was pretty stoked. Hey, how do the folks at home track you down? Are you YouTube, social media, email? What's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Pretty much every single social media handle is at Realtor Cass.
Oh yeah, there it is.
It is right there. It's backwards. I'm sorry. But it's right there.
Right. Yep.
It is right. Okay.
Yeah.
But you know, Realtor Cass, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Facebook. I will say, you know, the Instagram is probably the most entertaining of them because you're going to get the day in the life, the nitty gritty. But if you're looking to move to either pretty much anywhere in Oregon or anywhere in Washington, if I cannot help you, I've got a very wide range of people that can help you regardless of where you're at. Same with you, Adam. I'm sure if I've got someone moving to Lakewood Ranch, I've got you and Jessica down there to take good care of them. We both have very huge networks of people that we know to help you anywhere in the United States, Canada, we could probably find you someone just about anywhere in the world too.
Oh yeah, anywhere in the country. Yeah, it's one of the reasons that I brought up about the Midwest because that area where you're from is called the 75 corridor. That's where a lot of people move from, right? Up from Minnesota, even Canada, Indiana, Ohio. They come down the 75 corridor, which runs right through Lakewood Ranch. So we get a lot of people from that neck of the woods. So you might have family members who moved into Lakewood Ranch, or maybe even came down to visit like Siesta Key or Anna Maria Island because they tend to come down just the 75 corridor. So
nice.
Next time you're having Thanksgiving in the Midwest, like I got a real estate agent in Lakewood Ranch for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, thank you so much for having me on today. I really appreciate it. It's been fun having a chat. Hopefully get to see you again here shortly, actually in person.
For sure. Are you going to Rev B? Have you been to Rev B before? Real Estate Video Blueprint?
Yep. This will be my 3rd year. I didn't go the first year and I completely regret it.
Yeah, we're excited. We cannot wait. That's really been almost not my favorite event. I go to Vid Summit, which is YouTube. And that is one of my favorite events. But yeah, Rev B is another good learning one.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. There's got some really good speakers this year. A lot of good
That's San
video.
Antonio.
So they're having Christina Smallhorn.
I know, so excited. She is. I'm trying to get her on the show too. She's got something that happens at 5 o'clock, so she'd have to come on at 5:30. But it's interesting. I had reached out to her. This is what I love about Christina. For those of you who don't know Christina, I've been following her and learning from her a long time. But just like with you, I sent maybe like a Facebook message or a text message. Hey, you want to come on the live stream? She actually picked up the phone and called me. We talked for like an hour, which is
love it.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even know how you have my phone number, but obviously you can watch the channel and find the number. But yeah, she called me. It was awesome.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, well, cool. I'm excited if you get her on. I'm so ready for that one too. I'm excited to see her talk because she is like the YouTube guru.
She's probably one of the most successful real estate YouTubers. I like her business model. Doesn't necessarily work for everybody, but she's doing mostly referrals. I mean, she's talking, tiny homes and manufactured homes, but she does a great job. And she took off because she went to Vid Summit and then took the class by Daryl Leaves. Daryl Leaves is the one who puts on the Vid Summit. He wrote the YouTube formula, if you've not read that. The guy knows more about YouTube than I think YouTube does. But yeah, she basically learned how to be successful from him, and she just followed his plan and it worked.
It works. Follow the plan. It works.
It does. I appreciate your time, Cass. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you guys for tuning in. Drop a comment down below. Let me know where you're watching from. And we'll see you next time, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.